just doing a little practicing before we start our lesson. I want to thank you for all tuning in and watching the lessons and studying hard with me. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I want you to keep practicing hard, continuing to absorb this material, and really work hard in your lessons, because music is a lifelong ambition and a lifelong process. But if you're serious about it and you really want to get to be a good musician and be a better songwriter, or just you want to be better for your own enjoyment, there's nothing that's going to help more than dedicated, regular practice, and also above and beyond everything else, make it fun. Okay, so welcome to lesson 15, and I'll see you in just a second. Well, here we are again. And before we continue on with some new information today, I want to spend a little time reviewing what we covered in our last chapter, because we covered and summarized a lot of the chord forms that we've been working with up till now. I want to make sure you're really practicing these and keeping these organized and straight on your guitar neck. Okay, if you recall, we talked about the cage system and how it can be expanded up and down the neck in the bar chord forms. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the bar chord forms that we covered in minor last lesson, and we're going to apply them to a little warm-up exercise before we get into some new stuff. Okay, remember that all the caged forms, let's talk about G for a minute, in the major triads look like this. This is the first caged chord here in G, and this would be the open G form, I'm sorry, the E form that became the bar chord here. Okay, then we had the next position of G right here, based off the D form. The next position of the G chord based off the C shape. And then the next G chord based off the A shape. And then finally the big bar G up here based off the actual G shape. Okay? Now we have minor versions of all these chords as well, and we covered those last lesson. So let's just make sure we understand those before we go to our warm-up progression, okay? So the minor version of the G form here is simply achieved by picking up your second finger, and then you get a minor chord. Okay, so major becomes minor. Remember that? And we had our major form here that became minor simply by bringing down the major third, and then we have a nice minor sound there. So we had major, and then we have to swap these two fingers around, and we've got a minor form. Okay? And then we get up a little higher for the G form here, and we make this minor with a little bit more finger manipulation by doing this. Okay? You can even additionally add the note on top here, and then you're kind of connecting this form inside of this form. It's a variation of it, but it starts off from here. And that's originally from here, major, now minor. Okay? And then we get up to the A form of the bar chord up here, and once again we change the major third to the minor third, we get this sound. Okay, so we know that one. And then finally up here, where we had the major triad that was played like this, we have to adapt it a lot more and create this kind of a form out of it. Okay? And the root in this case is right on this note right here, the 15th fret in this case. Okay, so there's our 5 major chords, just to review. And now our 5 minor chords. Okay, let's do that in time just to practice it, making those moves. Let's do the 5 major and then the 5 minor. Here we go. Let's do a bar of each chord before we move to the next position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next one. Next one. Next one. Last one. Okay, good. Now let's do the minor forms in the key of G. Here we go. 3, 4, G minor, G minor, G minor, G minor, and last one. Okay, so we're pretty comfortable now with the 5 major and minor bar chords up and down the neck, and that's a lot of information, but that makes our capability and our ability to play songs and rhythm guitar now really much broader with all those shapes. Okay, we're going to talk about other chords in later lessons, but that's a big step right there for everybody. Okay, so let's just do a little warm-up progression here. Let's take a look at progression number 2 and apply what we've learned here. We've got major chords and minor chords mixed together, and let's just try to play. A good way to start off practicing a progression like this is just to first initially just try playing the chords any way you can with the voicings that you remember off the top of your head. So let's do that first, and then I'm going to apply a little exercise for you on another approach. Okay, so here's our groove. Okay, so I'm just going to play it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me just do one thing here. Let me just change one chord here. Forget that chord. Okay. Okay, let's try it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here comes the F minor. Okay, now notice that I didn't have to move very much to play this chord progression because I utilized all the shapes that were right around this first C minor chord. So I didn't go C minor and then go way up here to play A flat because A flat was available right here. And I didn't even go down here to play F minor, although it was not too far away. I used this one right here in very close proximity to the first chord. So I stayed in a very close area of my neck. I didn't have to move around a lot. Let's just say, for example, I wanted to try moving around more and see how that would watch my hands move now. Listen to the effect. Okay, now I'm going to move to A flat up here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back down to G. C minor up here. Okay, so that wasn't nearly as comfortable in a sense because we moved around a lot. But what I did there is to show you that you had to be able to play any voicing at any time to really practice changing positions and really practice working on all the voicings. Okay, so a good way to achieve a strong sense of all your voicings is just decide every day or every few minutes maybe practicing a progression like this to stay in one position, like the first way we did it. Do that for a few minutes, and then change to another form of C minor. In this case, let's say right here, and then you'd have another arrangement of chords that you'd have to stick to. So let's try that now, moving in this position. Instead of moving all over the place, we're going to stay in one position in this place, the middle of our neck. Okay? So now I'm going to play C minor right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go up another position right here. I'm going to start C minor right here. 2, 3, 4. A flat right here. G right here. Okay. So you can see this progression is very suitable for a very small range on your neck. You can play it with hardly moving your fingers at all because the chords are right around the first chord. You can start here and just essentially stay in a 3 or 4 fret space on your neck, and that's a good way to practice these chords every day. Okay, so go back to some of the previous progressions we've had and try to adopt that philosophy, minimizing your hand movement and staying in one position as much as you can. You might have to move up or down a half step on your neck, but that will really develop your skill with these chords much more solidly. Okay, we're going to be right back in just a moment. Practice hard in the meantime. Bye. Okay, we're back. Okay, I'm sure you've warmed up on the chords now, and you've got those major and minor chords together. But now we're going to talk about something new today, and that's a whole world that we haven't explored yet, but it's very important in all aspects of commercial music, because this form of music that we're going to talk about is the building blocks for all popular music. And we're talking about blues today. Okay? And this is going to be the first of many lessons about blues rhythm guitar playing, but we're going to start off by introducing it today. Okay, so a blues progression is essentially a 12-bar chord progression. You might notice that I write a lot of progressions on the board, varying lengths anywhere from 8 bars to 16 bars to maybe 32 bars, but a blues progression is a 12-bar form. Okay? Now, let's take a look at what that looks like in our progression. I'm going to hang the board here in a second. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's take a look at the board. Okay, so here we go. I was talking about a 12-bar progression. Well, let's figure this out here. We've got 4 bars per line times 3 lines. Okay, so that's a three-line progression. 4 times 3 is 12. We have a 12-bar progression. Okay. Now, what exactly is a blues progression based off of? Well, it's based off really a very familiar system. It's based off the major scale system of chords, okay, with a subtle adaptation. Okay, we talked about chord harmony in previous lessons. But essentially, when I talk about a major scale system of harmony, we're talking about chords that are derived from harmonizing a major scale. So in the progression, or rather in the key of A, it's based off the 1 chord of A to the 4 chord of A to the 5 chord of A, the 1, 4, 5. Okay, and let's examine how the order occurs here. In this case, the A chord's the 1 chord, then it goes up to the 4 chord, and then it goes back to 1. And it stays there for another bar. Okay, then we go to the 4 chord, and we stay there for another bar, and back to the 1 chord. So back and forth between 1 and 4 is what's going on here. And then finally we hit the 5 chord here, back to the 4 chord right here, back to the 1, and then to bring us back around to the top, we use the 5 chord again. Okay, so it might look pretty standard in the sense that it's just dealing with 3 chords out of a major key. Okay, but what makes it sound bluesy? Because this by itself doesn't sound very bluesy, does it? It's a little bit generic sounding. Okay, not very bluesy. Okay, what happened a long time ago with the influence of the African slave culture mixed in with the European traditional classical music and folk music that was happening from Europe and America at the time, it blended sounds together. Okay.